order with the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, no executive session. So we'll jump right into any announcements this morning.
No announcements.
Okay, how about student highlights?
Well, we're very excited to have representation here from the high school, specifically for our girls indoor track. So I think we have, who do we have with us tonight?
So, we actually, our highlight's gonna leak over into 2 days, so Mr. Critter will be here at our next meeting to have a whole other highlight. But we've asked, Coach Comstock and Vancouver to come, speak about their 3rd sectional win. And they have obviously a host of athletes with them, including, Elizabeth Brandt, who just went to states, but I will turn it over to Mr. C.
Thank you for inviting us and thank you for this tremendous group of athletes and coaches. We put forth the effort needed to achieve 2 great things. First, we became the first Williamson girls team to win 3 straight sectional titles. Second, Elizabeth Brandt is the first indoor track athlete to compete at states in 2 events. This year, we have developed our team spirit, confidence, and friendships and have been able to achieve our great success through hard practices and intense interval workouts, stations, sleds, and hill runs. You guys don't know what this is, but they do. The roots of our success have been not just our efforts this year, but our effort and experience over many years in development of technique and racing experience along with our athletes' willingness to try different events. We are now better team players and we have developed resiliency by overcoming absences, illnesses, and injuries. The positive relationships and great memories are the things that we remember most, along with our great success. So I'd just like to go through some of this really record-breaking season the girls had. While winning Division I championships, the girls scored a league record 210.5 points and won 10 out of 17 events. While winning the Wayne Finger Lakes League Championship, the girls scored 133 points, setting a meet record. At the league championships, Hannah Governor was the track MVP, Julia Van Leer was the field event MVP. When we won the sectional A4 championship, the girls scored 150 points, which is more than double every other team, establishing a new school record for indoor and outdoor track in team points. We scored in all 17 events, which no other Williamson indoor or outdoor track team has ever done. Our 10 champions were Julia Van Leer in shot put, Natalie Schmelk in race walk, Madison Story in high jump, 4x4 Manny Nussel, Ryan Hoodie, Hayden Wing, McKenna Watson, 4x2 Manny Nussel, Madison Story, Sarah Niles, Lauren Schmelk, Elizabeth Brandt in long and triple jump, Hannah Governor in 1,000, 1,500, and 3,000. Having 10 champions is a new Williamson indoor track record, and it ties our boys' 1998 outdoor track team record, which we each know that. Named Wayne Finger Lakes All League were as follows: 3rd team Lily Jacobs for the 3,000, Lauren Schmelk for the 300, 4x800 of Hannah Governor, Lily Jacobs, Bree O'Neill, and Captain Julia Weinschreider. 2nd team is Natalie Schmelk for race walk, Hayden Wing for pole vault. Alyssa Lee was 2nd team for the 300 and 3rd team for long jump. 1st team was the 4x2 of Lauren Schmelk, Madison Story, Sarah Niles, Manny Nussel. 4x4 Alyssa Lee, Hannah Governor, Manny Nussel, Lauren Schmelk. Madison Story for high jump. Julia Van Leer for shot and weight. Elizabeth Brandt for the 55 long and triple jump, and Hannah Governor for the 1,000, 1,500, and 3,000. School records were set by Julia Van Leer in shot and weight. Hayden Wayne tied the record in pole, Hannah Governor in 1,000, the 4x400 of Alyssa Leedy, Hannah Governor, Manny Nussel, Lauren Schmelk. Elizabeth Brandt in long and triple jump, where Elizabeth also set the Wayne Finger Lakes league record. Then we'll finish up talking about Elizabethton States here. So indoor track is the only sport which is a true state championship meet because it's not divided into large and small schools. This makes Elizabeth Brandt's accomplishments at the state meet even more impressive, competing against the biggest schools in New York State. Elizabeth finished 13th in triple jump and 5th in long jump, which earned her 4th overall for public schools in New York State. Anybody have any questions or anything you want to ask the girls?
I would just add that indoor track is also unique in that every day I see Coach Comstock, Van Hoover, Ishmael practicing right there as you walk out, so you get to see a lot of what they're doing. And this doesn't happen by accident, so it is certainly because we have a great program, we have great coaches, and obviously great athletes.
It's amazing, it really is.
And they all have medals to show, so.
Did you bring them?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
They got
Let's see it.
And they're home.
Little Elizabeth is like way down by the.
They're weighing her down, there's so many.
I'm really fast. Hold them up.
Oh, we got some over here too. No.
Yep, no.
Yeah, stand up.
Yeah, it's okay.
They're driving tired, that's all.
They're riding for a long time.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Elizabeth,
It is awesome.
Elizabeth, you gotta stand up and do like the Michael Phelps thing.
Listen to him, Brad.
Should. Hey, enjoy your success, show the medals off, why not? There we go.
And they're all pretty smart, if I understand it as well.
Well, I'm hoping we're gonna be the scholar athletes, but we'll have to wait for Mr. Criddle for that.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
It's
thank
a
you.
wonderful season, for sure. One for the record books.
Yeah, awesome. Congrats, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
You can go if you get
Move
one.
on to reports to the board.
You may stay the entire time if you want.
Okay, we have our student representative.
Hello, I'm Anya. So in the past few weeks, as you just heard, our girls indoor track team were the Class A4 sectional champions in their meet on February 17th. They also competed in state qualifiers on February 23rd, where of course Elizabeth Brandt qualified for the state meet in 2 events. She was the first women's indoor track athlete to compete and to participate in 2 events, where she received 13th in triple jump and 5th in long jump with a medal. Additionally, spring sports will be starting soon, and this past weekend was the High School Musical on the 1st and 2nd. So big congratulations to the cast and crew of Guys and Dolls, it was a huge success. We have a Pops concert coming up on the 12th and the Night of Comedy on the 21st, which is a student-organized NHS project containing skits written by Marissa Comstock. And finally, spring break is also approaching, beginning on the 29th.
Great.
Thank you very much. Reports from district administrators.
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Saxby.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start by highlighting our 3 Odyssey and Mind teams. We had 3 teams go to the regional competition in Pittsburgh on Saturday. I was able to go with them. It was a long day, but they did a great job. Dr. Avery was one of our judges, so we were really appreciative of her. Lauren Scalaney, Chrissy Baglio, and Bobby Goodness were the coaches. Unfortunately, Bobby's been out on a medical leave. Lauren stepped in and coached 2 teams. Did a great job. It's a big competition and a lot of work, and I appreciate all of their hard work, as well as the parents. They're very successful. On Monday was World Read Aloud Day in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday. And so on Tuesday, the first grade teachers and their students dressed up as their favorite book characters paraded through the building. There was a lot of great creative costumes, a lot of Harry Potters, saw a lot of Harry Potters walk by. And I believe Georgie took some pictures and posted them online too. And then finally, I just want to highlight our UPK teachers and team. They have the patience of saints. Our 4-year-olds are very busy young people in our building. This year's class is a busy group and they're doing a great job. We have 2 full-day classes Mrs. Hancock and her assistant, Mrs. Manningham, Mrs. Barnes, who just moved to UPK this year, and her assistant, Mrs. Gobine, and then our half-day class is Mrs. Hendrickson, Mrs. Kovac, Mrs. Grace, and Mrs. Bigelow are the classroom aides. So they do a great job of starting a wonderful foundation for our students as they embark their educational journey.
Awesome, thank you. They're awful cute too. Ms. Taylor?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to highlight actually the Valley. Actually, the Valley this year has shifted from fifth grade ELA, she came to sixth grade to social studies. And she has embraced world history, which is primarily what sixth grade social studies is. So last week, she got the VR goggles, the ones that you put over your head, for every student, and we toured Greece, but we looked at all the ruins and it was, again, it was so fascinating. So we were at the Parthenon and we were up on top of the Acropolis, then we moved around from place to place. It was fascinating. I wish I could have stayed the whole period, but the kids were really into it, so it really gave them a visual of everything they've been talking about. There they were. And so there were so many questions and the kids were, again, so was I. You move your entire body to see the next thing, you really have to, you do. And I would also like to say, again, he's near and dear to my heart, less people is on the warpath. So I would like to thank Ben Kolak and Gary Holoka and Mike Greenlee and recognize them. They have, through Mike's ag class and Ben in seventh grade social studies and Gary, we've been trooping out to the back there and tapping trees and doing the sap, and we're gonna start boiling, et cetera. So again, it's really that experiential learning from all of these individuals who are bringing it to the classroom to really, kids to really feel like they're like really what it's all about.
It's awesome, thank you. Dr. Avery?
Good evening, so we already had a highlight, so I don't wanna take up too much time. I was also going to mention Odyssey of the Mind this past weekend, so a couple years ago I signed up to be a judge, so if you ever are wanting to get more involved than you already are, it is a lot of fun. And so Ellen was there all day with her teams, so I was gonna actually thank her, but you beat me to it. And the musical was outstanding, I was in it. It really just was a phenomenal production. I think I had one more thing I wanted to say and I don't remember what it was, but it has been a very busy time at the high school, and it will continue until the year's over, so.
Just gonna fly, right?
It is, yep.
Thank you. Mrs. Libertor?
Good evening. So I just want to take a moment and highlight Michaela Smolinski, Kelly Colleen, and Karen Hoodie. All three of them have very unique and specialized positions in the district, working with community partners, digging into complex issues, having to bring new ideas in, and they all do it with such great pride. And they're enthusiastic every single day, no matter what they're dealing with. So just a huge kudos to them and the work that they've done and supported in all of the buildings.
Thank you, yeah, they're wonderful. Michaela saved me today from a phishing scam. Mr. Sutton?
I'll pass on Brian, Patrick from facilities and Tina from food service will tell you how great you're.
Yeah, we have a lot of good reports from the operations team today, so that will be great. Very briefly for me, I attended the musical, it was just wonderful, like I felt like I was at RBTL. The talent that we have, the level of the musicians, the tech, all of it was just spectacular. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So congratulations to all the students on just a wonderful production and all of the people who helped make that possible. And then I just want to put in one last plug, the deadline was March 1st, but we're still accepting applications for Alumni of Distinction. If you know a Williamson graduate who is worthy of being honored for their service to the community, their professional accomplishments, please be sure to get a nomination form in. It's a great program and it's just in its infancy and we want to keep it going. So just looking for some nominations for that.
Okay, thank you. District committee reports. We only had one, that was a policy committee meeting just prior to tonight's board meeting. district events. President's Week recess was February 19th to 23rd. Parent-teacher conferences, it was canceled due to a snow day. High School Musical senior citizen performance was canceled unfortunately again due to the snow day. But the High School Musical did go on as planned, March 1st and 2nd. All county grades 5-6 chorus and band was March 1st and 2nd at Marion. And parent-teacher conferences, half-day UPK yesterday, March 5th. Fort County School Board Association, I just received a letter from the director of Fort County, urging me to urge all of you board members to attend the spring, retreat they're having on March 22nd. I'm assuming you received 1,000 emails about that already. But they really would like representation from Williamson at the March 22nd.
It's during the day though, isn't it?
It is, it's a full day workshop. PTSA.
Hi, I'm Veronica, thank you for having us. Just a few quick updates. Next week, we are having our first roller skating party of the school year. That'll be for the 5th and 6th graders on Wednesday. And then we have one scheduled for the 7th and 8th graders on May 1st. Unfortunately, due to scheduling, we're only able to do the middle school ones this year. There's only one company left in the area that does roller skating parties, so they are very popular. But we're hoping to, shake things up for next year and get some more on the books. Also, later this month, we are doing the distribution of the Leo Pi Sale fundraiser. On the 28th, we have several PTSA volunteers that will be helping to fill and hide Easter eggs for the senior Easter egg hunt. So that'll be a nice early morning for all of us, but we're looking forward to it. And then finally, my favorite discussion item is the book fair, which is on the books. We are having it in the elementary school library the week of April 22nd. What is very exciting for this year was that because of our sales from the last year, we actually got upgraded to the next level of like book fair stuff. So we'll have more. So I'm hoping that we can continue to grow that and then build upon everything that we were able to, provide resources for the elementary school. We received a ton of amazing cards from different classrooms. Mrs. Saxby went in and bought several $1,000s worth of books with funds that were earned. So it was just absolutely heartwarming to see those cards come back from all the classes and the students that were so excited to have it. Additionally, this year, I am co-chairing the book fair with Erin Rowley from Community Schools Program. So working with her, I'm hoping to be able to also leverage some other resources within the community and some other programs to be able to make it a more bigger successful event and promote it within the school to the students.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming and presenting.
Of course, I'm happy to. Okay, moving on to board reports. I need a motion to approve the CSE case summaries. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the January treasurer's reports. So moved. Second. Any discussion?
On the general fund side, expenditures are pretty normal. On the revenue side, January's a pretty slow month always, but what's interesting is we did receive $117,000, which was part of E-rate, which was for access points that we did in 2021. So that finally came through.
Just came in now.
Just came in now.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yay. So,
Did you get interest?
no. Yeah.
I'm joking.
Okay. On the capital fund, you see expenditures starting to increase there a little bit as we're getting into this capital project, so the cash disbursements, you'll see increasing. And our ACF, we received cash receipts of $53,000 on quarterly interest. That's pretty much it there.
This, the cannabis revenue aid, is that a new line this year?
It's a new line this year, so yes, in sports gambling. Yep, it's not a ton, but it's something, they kind of really just pull it out of foundation aid, really.
Right, so
Like
they use the
it's-
foundation aid and then they give you this.
Yeah, yeah, it's like all the same things,
Same amount of money,
Yeah.
just split up in different lines.
yes.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, how about the facilities update?
That's me. For anybody that doesn't know me, Patrick Blair, Facilities Director. This is my update for everybody. For the next slide. Staffing roles, the mail courier, we have filling in for Gary currently. She's subbing for him, she's doing it daily, she's doing great. District-wide staff, we have a maintenance mechanic, a groundskeeper, and a floating cleaner we're looking to acquire. Building custodians, 6 to 3, 6:30 to 3, we have 3, 1 in each building. Building cleaners, 3 to 11, 9 staff, 3 in each building. I have 1 sub currently working for one that's out. Each building has their own lead cleaner. So, next slide please. These are some of the upgrades that have been done in the district, new backboards to the gym in the high school. They were purchased last year, we just got to installing them this year. So those are done, I think they're being enjoyed currently. Next slide. Lighting upgrades. Apparently the school has had some deficiencies in lighting, in this parking lot currently. We've got new lights out here, so everybody can be safe walking to their cars and not hit any ice patches or anything like that. So focus and updates, capital project, progress. Elementary school kitchen demo is coming to an end. They're framing everything starting tonight. They're working at the snack shack as well, framing the walls there. The ductwork throughout the elementary and middle school is currently underway throughout. If you go through any of the rooms, you'll see the new diffusers, you won't see the ductwork. That's all hidden above the ceiling. The electrical work that's being run for all the new UVs, that's also being done at the same time, also above the ceiling, you won't see that. Health and safety risk management, we work with BOCES. We just had BOCES come in and do the fire inspection. It was completed 2/29, with Kelly Watson. I haven't received a report back yet, which is actually kind of odd, so I'm waiting for that. But we compile fire safety checklists that we have to follow. We continually do that and upgrade. And then on to building condition survey. That's some SEI provided for us, and we've had some focal points that they pointed out to us, and we'll be working on those in the future. Obviously, things take time, and we compile the list that most important things, the least important ones that we're working on. Next slide. This is the demo in the elementary kitchen. Currently, those I-beams you see on the floor are above the new doors they're putting facing the cafeteria. The end window you see is the wash bay where trays and stuff will be given back, and that little excavator was actually in there, surprisingly. Next slide, please. Health and safety, risk management. Our BOCES coordinator consultant with the district throughout the year and following. New York State Federal Hazard Training Communications, also through Kelly Wasson. Building fire prevention, the same. EPA hazardous waste, also the same. Federal asbestos inspections regulations, here are reports that we adhere to. Lead and radon testing is conducted triannually, and we have to figure out a date for that because the state has put a mandate out that they will pay for 100% to redo all the lead pipes and anything we need to do to make the school lead safe. We just have to wait for that wording to come out, so that way we get funded for it, because if we do it before that, they don't fund it. You have to chase it, and we all know getting money from the state takes a long time. So, the pesticide regulations, that also comes from BOCES, AED regulations, emergency planning, we do in-house, we've been doing that, our tap app runs, drills, things of that nature. Next slide, please. The project's complete and schedule, as I just stated earlier, exterior upgrading the lights throughout the district. I started here, we're gonna work at the middle school as well, middle school and high school. When you walk through the school, you don't notice the fire extinguishers because all the signs are a sticker above them. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount the little triangles, actually notate where they are. If there's any visitors or there's an emergency, people panic, they can actually see them easier. So that's one of the things that I'm working on. Compiling the list of summer tasks, and the project's complete, things around getting the fields ready, getting The soccer field's lined, flag football, we're gonna start, so we're gonna have to pick a new place for the field for that. Using current, data management system, ML, Frontline, to track employees' sick, personal, vacation days. And then budget management and planning, effectively account for rising costs of materials. I continue on a regular basis to shop vendors. We have state selected vendors, but I also shop them to get us the best prices we possibly can in bulk. So much so that I annoy Jeff probably a lot. Cause I literally calculated like the square footage of paper towels to figure out where we saved a couple cents per roll, or per foot. Next slide, please. Current updates, keeping the vehicles, this equipment status, the vehicles undercoated so they don't rust because we do a lot of salting, which deteriorates the vehicles pretty quickly. Continue rotational purchasing of lawnmowers, that has been a practice in the past, I'd like to do that, but I'd also like to see if we can create longevity with them, so we can kind of get more use out of them than we have. If we need to, I wanna continue the rotation, but if I can make them last longer, I'm gonna do that. New carpet cleaner we purchased will be in use this summer to help us kind of upkeep things for next year. Purchasing larger flat mops. The gyms, you can't really soak the floors, so what I did is I found like microfiber mops, and they've conventionally been 18 to 24 inches, but they make a 4-foot one that we're gonna be using here in the future once they arrive, to make the gyms nicer and a lot less wear on them as well. The Gator that we have, currently the transmission is kind of, going bad, tires, all that stuff. It's reaching its peak use. So we're probably surplusing that and looking to purchase a new one in the future. And then vehicle maintenance, the 2009 van is the oldest one that we have. And that does need to be replaced sometime in the near future. I mean, it's okay in district, but if we have to go anywhere else, it's probably not the best vehicle. So, next slide please. Comments or questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Alright, food service updates.
Good evening, everybody. Hi, Dana. I brought show and tell today because I'm not kidding about it, but I'm just gonna pass around our red line stuff from the high school, so you guys can see what the kids get. It's like Subway every day pretty much, so as I'm talking, just so you guys can
That's awesome.
see what we have here. Okay, so I'm sure everybody knows me here, but for those that don't, I'm Tina, and I'm the director of food service. Just a couple years here, so far things have been going pretty good, I think. Next slide, please. So I'm the only district-wide staff. At the high school, we have the kitchen manager, cook, one food service worker, who's part-time, just under the full-time over there. Middle school, we have the cook manager, one food service worker, 3 food service workers part-time. And at the elementary, we have the kitchen manager, 1 cook, and 4 food service workers part-time. So we have 2 current vacancies that are part-time positions at the high school. And we pretty much think we have plans for that. We had trouble filling the red line position, but, so we're trying to fill in that last hole that we have. We have a lot of subs that are helping us out, like we pretty much operate the subs every day. They've been wonderful. And I just really wanna say the amount of support that we get from maintenance facilities has been essential this year, especially with the capital project. They're moving dishes for us, they're helping, anything we need, they're helping us. So just wanna say thank you to the facilities department, especially Andy. In the morning, he comes and picks up all of our food and shuffles it around, and he's just been wonderful, so. We had a power outage a couple weeks ago, I think it was, and Patrick came and fixed the generator at the high school. I was panicking, cause I'm like, oh, we're gonna have to move all this food, and he came over and fixed it, so just like, thank you, Patrick, wherever, and we just left it in person. Okay, so the next slide is just our team that we had for our Christmas party actually. As you can see, we have a lot of subs in there too, so a lot of retired ladies that wanna still work. So they're essential to helping us do what we do every day. Okay, so our mission has not changed. We are focused on improving the health and wellness of our children here. And we also want to encourage them to learn more about nutrition education, which that's probably the biggest chunk that I haven't been able to get to as much as I'd like to. But if I can get a clone, that would be awesome. They can help me do some of these things I want to do. But so basically, every day I go to work with the intention of what can we do to make kids want to eat fruits and vegetables? Whether it's packaging, whether it's presentation, whether it's just trying to put other things on there that they want, so we'll take that. So we just try to come up with a bunch of different ideas and see what works, but I feel like we're doing pretty good with that. So the amount of kids that pick fruits and vegetables, honestly, you guys would probably be amazed. It's wonderful to see. So some points of pride, we are CEP this year, thanks to a lot of hard work that we did with getting qualified for it. And that pretty much means we had enough lower income students in the district to help get them, kind of help like balance it out so that we were able to cover all 3 schools with CEP. So all kids eat for free for at least the next couple of years, if we decide to stay CEP.
It's really awesome.
Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, it's been tremendous in terms of kids that probably just might have not met that threshold that are able to eat for free, so that's been helpful. We're offering 3 to 4 different main entrees every single day at the elementary school, without a kitchen, without a stove, without, what we're used to, I guess. So I think that's we are very proud of that. And the kids love it. We try to do one hot meal every week, at least. Sometimes it involves marks. They're okay with that. So it's been interesting, but it's been fun too. We also have some new menu items, nacho burger, tater tot burger bake, some other things that we're trying at the other schools. In the meantime, the kids, some of the seniors don't really like to try new things, which is interesting, but the middle schoolers will try anything. I like that, whatever, I guess. We did implement a district-wide share table this year. I know that happened before COVID, but COVID kind of took that away, so we're bringing that back, and that's helping a lot at the elementary. The big table sometimes is pretty crazy, but, so it's nice that the kids are able to, if they're still hungry, they can pick something up. If they don't like what they're given, they can put it on the share table, and that helps a lot, so. This year, we also stopped using our cold storage facility that we use in town, that we used to use in town for years. So we've been able to just use what we have and cut down on a lot of extra stuff that we've been holding on to for a long time. So that's been good, we don't have to pay that bill. And then we keep everything right in-house where we know where it is, we know it's safe, we know it's not been messed with the temperature too much, so that's been nice. We did receive some supply chain assistance funding to help offset some of the supply costs that we've had to incur because of the carry out, all the packaging for the not having a dishwasher at the elementary school and so forth. We are operating a seed fund surplus, so we're not losing too much money, that's good. And honestly, another big thing I'm really proud of is the team that I have, they're very focused on customer service all the time, like, no mean lunch ladies, that's my number one thing, and I think we're doing a great job of that. And the amount of meals served too, which we'll review in a minute here. Next slide, please. So this year, we've served probably a little bit more now, but 126,483 meals total. And that includes breakfast and lunch, and it's only reimbursable meals, not second meals or not teacher meals. So I feel like that's amazing, and that's just, I can't believe it was that high of a number, but it's just nice to be able to go to work every day with a purpose and, see that kids are eating and taking advantage of it, so. I did provide another report that shows just a comparison of last year, I don't know if you guys can see that, which I will leave copies of with anybody that wants to, but, in terms of average daily percentages, I know you wanted me to review that a little bit. Last year, at this point, let's talk about February of last year, we served about 2,610 breakfasts. This year, we're at 7,142 breakfasts for the month of February. Lunches, we did 9,366 last year. This year, we're just over 11,000 now, if you add everything up with that, but And in terms of reimbursement, we've almost doubled, I think, our reimbursement, so that's been good too. But it's just been wonderful to see, and I didn't really have a chance, so that's something that we are really proud of. We couldn't do it without the team that we have. So for the next slide, elementary, I just put some pictures up there of some things that we're doing. One of the popular daily items that we have is the All-American Sub Lunch, and that's just a heartier, like, the sub is about like this big maybe, just cute little sub. And it's on a whole grain, half whole grain, bun, and, the kids like that, it's like a deli sub pretty much, comes with a nice bag of chips. And then we have a Marauder Lunchable, I made that, from kind of like a normal Lunchable, and that just comes with, like the stuff in Lunchable, but not the terrible unhealthy stuff. It's more of like the lower sodium deli meats, some whole grain crackers in there. We load it with the fruit and vegetables too, some cheese, etc.
I'm getting hungry.
Maybe some Marauder Lunchables.
Should have brought some samples of them, I guess. Okay, then we have an Uncrustable lunch and a yogurt and muffin lunch. And then, like I said, we try to do some fun stuff here and there too. It's weird because we have not had to have a bread order in the last 2 weeks because we get all of our buns frozen from Cisco, like from Big Crackers, this wonderful company. But it's just weird because I'm thinking we would have ordered a ton of bread, but we just really have our little niches that we like, and we're trying to find out what works best, but, so we just, with the yogurt and muffin lunch too, that comes, the yogurt muffin, the muffin comes with baked crackers too, so it's high quality meals, but it's not as fun as obviously a hot meal every day, but the kids seem to be enjoying it as well, so I guess that's good. For the middle school, they had these really cute cards when I was there the other day that these students wrote down, and I almost cried. I'm like, oh my god, that's so sweet. But they wrote like sweet notes to the lunch ladies, it's really cute. Yeah, so I was like, wow, this is so nice to see. And they work really hard there too. And they're doing the nacho burger. They're trying to do some new stuff too. They have a new full-time food service worker there, Autumn, that's been wonderful. Really stepped in to fill Patty's shoes because Patty is now at the elementary. So it's been wonderful there as well. The high school, again, that's the wrap line that you guys saw. It's wonderful. It's like Subway. Every single day, those ladies work really hard. And we're trying to just keep what we're doing. We're on Assorted Pizza Day. We try to mix up the pizzas and see what the kids like. And they have a ton of fresh fruits and vegetables every day as well. And then next slides are a couple of just menus, just to show you guys some of our menus. So you can look at those however you'd like. And then the next slide is financials. I haven't really had a ton of time to look at that either, but I think we're doing okay. Jeff, do you have anything to add there?
No, I talked about it last meeting actually,
Okay.
quickly in the treasurer's report, we're maintaining, which is what we wanted to do with the introduction of CEB, and we've had some higher than normal costs due to the not having the kitchen, certainly, that was anticipated, of course, so I think once the kitchen is up and running, it would be even more of a,
Yes,
Positive.
Yes.
yeah, cost savings.
Yeah. I agree. Okay. So looking ahead, we're really excited about the new kitchen, when that's gonna be done. We did set up a new system called Heartland Meal Order Solutions. So when the new kitchen is ready, we'll be able to order, the teachers will be able to order online, their classrooms every day there, instead of the paper, which will hopefully help a little bit. We'll continue to focus on scratch cooking. And I feel like a lot of the staff now have a drive to wanna do more of that, which is nice. Incorporate more student education, increase social media presence. I do wanna still do the after school snack program, I'm just waiting on my phone to show up and robots or something, but we are having some in-person Serve Safe training coming up in April. And we're looking at new equipment possible for the middle school. But I just like to say too, it's been a real honor working for this community, it's been a real honor working for the district. I love what I do, so thank you everybody for giving me the opportunity, and I come to work every day with a purpose and I really enjoy what I do, so thank you. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything?
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation, thank you, Tina. Seriously, lunches are so much better than when I was in school.
I am a big fan of the adult snack bag. Lunchable, yeah. For my lunch.
I think we should request those for our next executive session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You do? Absolutely.
All right, so now we get to jump into a riveting budget presentation.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little tough to follow that one. But here we go.
Be positive.
You have hearts and rainbows also?
Yeah,
Can you see? Can you see?
I can see.
Your eye.
I got a special contact.
So we expect some.
You can go to the next slide. There you go, got it. Thank you.
You can breathe now, Gracie.
Yeah. So on tonight's agenda, we're looking at revenue side, expenditure side, revenue side, taxes, misconception, facts, the slide I showed you last year as well. Tax cap calculation outcome, tax levy impact, estimated revenue summary where we're standing currently, expenditures in the form of three-part budget and budget summary. So you might remember this slide from last year, but I think it's helpful to get us into the taxes frame of mind. On the slide, we have some misconceptions and facts about taxes. Misconception, the law limits the amount the school can increase the tax levy by 2%. That's not true. There are other factors in the tax cap formula used to determine a school district's overall tax levy growth, like the tax-based growth factor, capital exclusions, retirement exclusions, pilots. The 2% or the tax-based growth factor is just one of the line items in the calculation. Another misconception, my personal tax bill cannot increase by more than 2%. That's not true. Tax bill can increase by more than 2%. I'll tell you why in a moment. And the school is 100% responsible for raising my taxes. Again, this is not necessarily true. Factors other than tax levy impact, increased taxes like state equalization rates, assessments, chargebacks, pilots, all of those things impact taxes. On the fact side, the levy growth factor is capped at 2%. That is true, that one line item is capped at the lesser of CPI or 2%. Voter approval if at or below the tax cap is 50% plus one vote. It's called a simple majority. And voter approval if above the tax cap is 60% plus one vote, which is called a supermajority. So with the board's future adoption coming up, we will be seeking a simple majority, right? Will be at 2% tax levy growth factor. Thank you. At last meeting, I reviewed the tax cap calculation submitted to the Office of the State Comptroller. This table represents that submission and shows a condensed year-over-year comparison of the tax cap calculation. In 23-24, the levy was increased approximately $267,000, which aligned to more of a traditional increase compared to the years prior, which saw fluctuations, if you recall, from the pilot that was coming up. 24-25, we're showing an increase of approximately $296,000. This growth is the result of the factors provided to us within the confines of the tax cap calculation. What I mean by that is like the tax-based growth factor for that 1.0044 is an increase from the prior year, which deals with the increases for properties coming on the books in Williamson and our other towns. The levy growth factor is being capped at 2% despite the consumer price index being more than double that. So we're going up at 2% and a small increase for the ERS exclusion, the employee retirement system exclusion. So So overall, we're seeing an approximate $28,000 year-over-year increase in the levy from 267 to 295. So this slide's always interesting to me in an effort to put this into some sort of context for people. The past is really like the best predictor I can give at this point in time as it relates to tax rates. So what I've done is take last year's spreadsheet for calculating tax rate calculations and simply plugged in this year's proposed tax levy. Applying this year's proposed tax levy, we're looking at like a $104 increase on a $200,000 home. But the caveat here is this is simply an estimation. It doesn't serve as really an exact representation of next year's tax bill. In fact, and for sake of full disclosure, I was wrong last year. And I was wrong in a good way for everybody. It actually came in much less, and it was actually less than the year before. And there's a reason for that. It's just, the reason I say that is it's to emphasize the fact that it's really hard to like estimate right now without knowing assessed values, without knowing pilots, without knowing equalization rates and chargebacks. Like there's too many unknown factors. So that's my best estimation. Again, for all the folks watching at home, Mom, don't go by that. So it's just a guess.
So tell Mom to put a pen away.
Yeah, don't start writing that check yet. So next, please. So estimated revenue summary. This is where we currently stand with estimated funding sources that make up the revenue side of the budget. State aid is consistent with what's already been reported. Again, that state aid category includes foundation aid, building aid, transportation aid, BOCES aid, those high cost, excess cost aids, all those things I've talked about. The increases here were primarily tied to building aid with that debt. That I'll talk about in a moment is already reported the district has not received that foundation aid that we thought we were going to receive. So we have a decrease on foundation aid, but it's all lumped into that state aid number. Other local revenues has an increase primarily related to the increase in consortium billings for our out-of-district students attending Williamson. Property taxes, we just discussed, and pilots and federal reimbursements remain relatively consistent. This summary does introduce the use of appropriated fund balance and reserves to cover the shortages between revenues and expenditures as we look at closing this gap. This is a preliminary and we hope that foundation aid gets restored with the adoption of the legislative budget. But this level of use would be an increase over what we've used in the past. Our total funding sources at this time, approximately $28,700,000. Now for the expenditure side of the budget, the next three slides look at the expenditures categorized as the required New York State three-part budget. The three-part budget organizes expenditures by administrative, capital, and program components. This slide looks at the administrative component of the three-part budget. When we look at this slide, there's not one all-encompassing cost driver here that represents the increase. The increases here are contractually driven. You're gonna get sick of hearing me say the same things over the next several presentations, but there's only so many ways to say the same thing. But they're contractually driven by payroll and benefit obligations as well as increased BOCES costs. For example, the Board of Ed line increase here is policy work with the Area 1 BOCES. Central administration has increases for the central business office and workers' comp administrative costs. Central services then has increases for records retention work that the district is doing to digitalize our forms, and increased administrative edutech costs for costs like softwares that we use like Envision for finance, Frontline, NutriKids for our cafeteria Raptor system, A lot of costs there, these softwares increase every single year. And BOCES really looking at like, every single line is about 5 to 8% increase on just our BOCES lines. And we spend, anywhere from $3.5 to $4 million through BOCES, so, it's significant. One of the nice things about using BOCES is that we do get aided back, as I mentioned before, aid rate's 78%. But it's not a true 78% because not all costs are eligible for BOCES, or there are reductions in certain deductions as it pertains to payroll and things that you don't get aided. So a more true approximation of that aid rate is about, depends on the line item, but overall it's about 59%. Also, this is, at this time, this 10 to 12% mark is really where you wanna be for your administrative part of your three-part budget. So, and we were sitting there too. You're good, you don't have to go back. The next part, this slide looks at the instructional component of the three-part budget. Here we're looking at the primary costs associated with educating students. That can be in the form of wages and benefits, of course, transportation costs, co-curriculars, athletics, technology. One of the things that always frequently comes to mind when I look at this slide is how much of a team effort this all is. Our building administrators, fantastic, district administrators, various department heads, directors, we all work on this together. And every year the administrative team evaluates programmatic needs in an effort to ensure we, the district, are delivering the best education possible while also trying to ensure that we're being the most fiscally responsible to our community. And this team in this room are fantastic. I could not do this without them. So thank you while we're in this, but the majority of the changes in the instructional component of this budget come from, again, contractual obligation in the form of wages and benefits. The other significant costs here are related to special education costs in the form of student placements and increased payroll that might be associated with those student placements. So we have to hire a one-to-one aide, but we might also bill back for that one-to-one aide if it's a consortium student. So those needs require costs that go along with them, but could also come back in the form of an aid or a reimbursement. Overall, we see a dollar increase in this component, but as it decreases the percentage of the budget year over year. Next. In the capital component of the three-part budget, we have the cost of operating and maintaining the buildings as well as debt. Noteworthy items in operation and maintenance are the staffing that Patrick mentioned to maintain our facilities. We're maintaining the school resource officer position. We're continuing to maintain the purchase of security cameras, which the facilities team and we've been working on replacing ones that need it. Again, while the expenditures here increase, the budget, like the security cameras, there is that one-to-one aid, so we get reimbursed on those $35,000 a camera, so it's a strategic spend. We spend it, we get it back, it's something we need, so we do that with purpose and intent. The line here also includes increased prices for goods and services for operating school district, as well as other costs that arise that people might not think about, like mandated change of extinguishers. Patrick might mention the fire inspector coming, testing the auditorium stage curtains for to make sure that it meets a certain level of flame resistance, or purchasing AEDs or radios, or there's a lot of things that run through this part of the budget that people might not necessarily think about but are needed. In the debt service transfers, you'll see an increase of debt. In December of '23, the district signed a short-term borrowing called a BAND, or a bond anticipation note, for the work being performed in the current capital project. The signing was a planned borrowing and is a $700,000 increase to debt service that you see here, so that's why you see that big increase. So overall, we're looking at an increase here of $834,000 for the facilities, most of that being debt service. That debt service is also tied to an aid. And finally, go ahead, thank you. The current anticipated budget gap stands at approximately $475,000. The current deficit takes into account the use of appropriated fund balance and reserves. We're working on closing this budget deficit and continuing to look at staffing, evaluating BOCES costs, as well as special education costs. We are hopeful to see foundation aid get increased with this legislative budget.
And so
Any questions?
yeah, we've increased the use of the fund balance to 1.2 million.
Yes. Yep, that's what we would be looking at.
It's a lot,
That's a lot.
but
That makes me very nervous.
as it should. And so we could talk more about that, we're waiting to see how state aid comes in. You have to understand that that is also in collaboration or cooperation with some staffing cuts that we will be moving forward with. We're trying to find the right balance there. We also think it's a unusual year. We also have, because of grants and very thoughtful utilization of our current budget, we're thinking that excess fund balance at the end of the year will help us. And we also are very aware of the structural deficit that something like this could portend or cause. And so we're being very cognizant of that as we make the decision. I think there have been times in the past where we've gone up to 800,000 plus in the use of reserves and fund balance, so we're hoping that it comes in more towards that, but
Favorable, yeah.
it may not.
When we started this process a couple months ago, we were about 2 million, and so we've
Yeah, done a little over.
We have-
Increase the
But
fund
we've
balance
increased the fund balance, yeah.
significantly to get there.
But we're looking at, just so you're aware, and we will be sharing this news with, staff as we move forward, but we're looking at, some cuts as well.
Jeff, could you do, I know, I don't wanna add a ton to your plate, but I think this would be really helpful, maybe down in our budget workshop, looking at our current fund balance status and some different scenarios of where that puts us, a few years out if we go all the way up to 1.2 million.
Sure.
the projected.
My guess is 3 years of that and we're in serious trouble.
We would have significant issues, especially with declining enrollment.
So I think that would be really helpful to just paint a picture of like the difference between the sort of 500, 800 and 1.2 and what that could mean for us in 3 to 5 years.
There's no way we could sustain consistent utilization of that amount.
No.
But if you look, and I think one of the things he can share that, I don't know if he has, I think in the last budget presentation, the utilization, the bar graph, you can see sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, it's very rarely,
Sure, and that's what it's for, right?
Yeah,
So you can
100%.
help balance.
so we can.
It's just hard, I think, right, like our job is to
Be good
make sure that
stewards.
we're good stewards of this money and that we're able to sustain every decision we make and so I just get nervous when we start talking about plus over $1 million there, which
As-
And plus right now, it's
as you
nice to
should.
have more money in reserves because of the higher interest rates right now. Or making more profit off of it.
This number that's up there, 476, that's
Still a gap.
That's still a gap.
a gap with the 1.2 million.
Yes.
yeah, and so you have another year like this next year, or it could be worse, given the unknowns of it makes me really, really, really nervous.
So all I can say, and Jeff, if you wanna speak to this as well, is we're quite aware of all of that.
I'm certain
And-
that's the case.
And so the only way to close the gap is through a combination of cuts and the utilization of reserves and fund balance. There's no other way, right? And so that's what you have to determine is where is that cutoff, what is that balance, what does it look like? And we're doing a multi-year plan, like we're not only looking at, you know, what it looks like this year, we're looking at next year and potentially, like what are the one offers that happen this year that are causing such a large gap for us? And I think, there are some things that are one offers, but I also think as a board, you have to be aware that the declining enrollment, if that trend continues, is a significant issue that impacts your state aid via RWADA, and I think you're gonna have to make some, you know, decisions moving forward that are pretty significant, but I think you do have a runway for making those decisions.
As long as we don't eat it all up.
Correct.
Balance. Use of fund balance.
Anything you wanna add to that?
No.
Save some for next time.
Yeah.
And a lot of it really is you doing a great job in trying to guesstimate of how much we're gonna get.
Yeah, yes, and that's very tricky.
And best case scenario isn't even good.
Right.
So,
Well, right, so I think that we all have sort of a heightened sense of like concern around the outlook and knowing where our enrollment is heading, knowing where districts around us enrollment is heading, public education in general is gonna be in trouble in New York State.
but we will spend more time on that during our budget workshop. We plan on talking about a bunch of different stuff
Yeah.
related to that, including annexation and merger.
Sure. I think that we've tried to have those conversations in the past, but now I think it's imperative, like, we don't have a choice, we have to start having conversations around how are we gonna continue to survive and provide, you know, proper education to students in our community. Because I don't wanna cut all those beautiful programs that we've built and the reasons why people wanna come here and put their kids through this district. So, no, I mean, I know how difficult it's been for you guys to get to this point. There's no good answer, I think is the problem, and that's.
There's no good answer.
Alright. Let's.
On that,
We can follow that.
upbeat note,
Let's segue.
Yeah, we have positive.
Okay.
Let's talk about education.
So Ellen and I will present the elementary achievement data. So to kick us off on a really high note, for the elementary school for their second marking period, we have seen growth across all 4 grade levels, first through 4th. So that is just huge for us, a huge celebration. And specifically when you look at 3rd grade, from quarter 1 to quarter 2, they had a significant, you can go to the next slide. They had a significant increase from 17% achievement to 40%. So just huge kudos to Ellen, Jess, and their staff and the work that they've been doing. And I want to speak just a little bit to it, and Ellen, feel free to jump in. So all of our building leaders have taken time and have been really thoughtful about having conversations with our staff around how do we continue to improve academic achievement. So we spent a lot of time as a district going back to tier 1. What are those just good, effective teaching strategies and techniques in the classroom that can help to support each individual learner? Specifically though, we're talking about the elementary tonight, so Alan and Jess really dug in deep and had individual conversations with all of their teachers, and I had the privilege of being part of some of them, and those conversations were really rich. So we see the ownership, our teachers take their own data very personally, and those conversations really centered around how are we just going to continue to improve. You're doing some really great things in your classroom, your kids are showing us that they're able to demonstrate mastery of different things, but how do we just continue to improve? So I don't know if you wanna say anything more about those.
No, I would echo that. We used to do these data meetings pre-COVID and I haven't done them in a few years and they've been very enlightening and I think raised a little level of anxiety, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing but what ended up happening is having really, as Rachel said, rich, specific conversations about students and instruction. And each of the meetings were a half an hour and the latter part of the meeting was, and I know Rachel's gonna piggyback on this, was how do we take this data and strengthen our tier 1 instruction, which is what our big focus in the building has been and will continue to be. And so with Rachel's help, we're doing some great work around tier 1 instruction because we can't just sit and admire the data. Can't just say
Or the problems.
or the problems. There has to be some work around what are we gonna do differently and I'm excited about the upcoming superintendent's day and the work that we have planned around that. And I would agree that the teachers seem very energized right now by doing that work. They're grateful to have the time to sit and be able to work together. And we have the great advantage of having 3 instructional coaches in our building, so they're working with teachers as well. So I'm pleased the way things are going.
Can I, before you go forward, can I just dig in a little bit more on the highest achievers? Is that typical to not have any at the second, third, fourth?
So typical maybe, preferred no.
Sure.
So then 2 of the grade levels, I had that conversation with teachers. What is it that we're not seeing in our students that we're not getting those highest achievers? I think that has been a decrease since the 10 years I've been principal. So that's the other area. We kind of end up going down this path of how do we help our struggling students? And part of this tier 1 instruction is hitting all levels, not just the struggling students. I hope to see a turnaround with that, because that.
It just kind of sticks out.
It does stick out, that's a good way to say it. I was gonna say it's disappointing, but that's my personal interpretation, but it sticks out.
Well, and I
That's a good
think
way to
that's
say
telling, right, that like those highest achievers are often the ones that slip through the cracks because they're still achievers, right? And they still check every box and they're still doing great, but.
And I try to balance it with, it is such a developmental age, especially first and second grade. There's so much that has to happen to build foundational skills in order for them to get to those higher levels. It stands out for me more at 3rd and 4th grade.
Sure.
Because we do a great job at those foundational skills at 1st and 2nd grade. I think we continue to need to grow there and Rachel's gonna speak to some of the work we're doing there. But where are we losing that when they get to 3rd and 4th grade? Cause I think that's gonna be an important piece for those students, all students, but especially those students as they transition to the middle school.
Yeah. And I also wonder if our grading committee and grading practices play into that a little bit.
It could be, yeah.
I think they do, and that's part of what's difficult when presenting this data is that you have so much interpretation within our grading practices currently. So depending on the teacher and how harsh a grader they are, that's gonna play into the data that you see on a quarterly basis.
Regardless, that would indicate that they're very harsh graders and we have 0, right? So.
Burgers, I've had a conversation too recently about, which until Mary Grace put it out, I hadn't really mulled it over, and that is, we have a relatively young staff. As far as young in Williamson. Some of our staff are not necessarily chronologically young, but young in Williamson. And some of our more seasoned teachers, 2 of which are retiring this year, I have moved out of the classroom into other positions. So building up that depth of instructional strategies at the grade levels needs to be a focus going forward.
That makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
The next slide is just giving you that big picture of achievement over time for the second marking period. So certainly you can see there are areas of celebration, like over the past 4 years, we're seeing that we are, for this marking period, we have more students achieving, but it's not necessarily a consistent trend. So then we move into our below proficiency levels, which I'm sure Ellen would say the same thing. It's a work in progress. It certainly continues to be something that we're focusing on. We were really happy to see that all 4 grade levels were making progress. But we'd like to see more progress, absolutely. But we know that that takes time, and I think the conversations that we have been having with teachers and the work that we've been doing around Tier 1 is starting to show those results. So in my eyes, that those movements forward every time is what's going to matter the most. I would love to see a huge jump, but that's not always realistic, so. So then that shows you, the next slide is just the over a year, so from marking period 1 to marking period 2. So again, we've seen some decreases, specifically at 3rd grade, which is huge. And I know, 3rd grade is such a transitional year, and we have a lot of planning that goes into that 3rd grade year, specifically around like the CBTs. And so having Eric Waples go into those classrooms and help preparing the students for that time is really critical, because our teachers have said sometimes they can demonstrate it on paper, and that's what they've been used to for the past 3 years. But as soon as they have to transition to that computer and manipulate all of the tools, that adds that extra layer of complexity. So he has been going in there, I think he's been into all of the classrooms once and is going on his 2nd round, or will soon be doing that, to just make sure that there's a level of comfort among all of the students.
And I'll applaud the 3rd grade team around that. The New York State requires us to do a simulation typically in January. They only require us to do it for one area and 1 grade level. So I had said we would do it at 4th grade. 3rd grade came to me and asked if they could do it as well. And I think it was a good experience good for them to think smarter than that one. Because it was a good experience for them to get used to that format, because that is a new format. And that is one of the things we do struggle with our results, is those kids having the stamina and the skills to sit down and take a test of that length on a computer. So
And they
I
started
was glad
putting
they
things
did
on
that.
Schoology, right? They started adding things on, so kids are getting that exposure and having to like navigate a passage and then answer questions, so. So the next slide is, again, just giving you that over the past 4 years look of the non-proficiency levels. Okay, so now this takes us to below proficiency by course. So when you look at this particular slide, this is giving you all of the students who are performing at either a level 1 or a level 2. And so, we definitely have things to focus on. Writing continues to be an area of concern for us. But Ellen and her team are going to be working at the upcoming conference day, not just around our math program, but also around our ELA program, which is Collaborative Classroom. And if you know the program, there are multiple components to it, many of which can be a little overwhelming for a teacher who may be as young in their career or just hasn't had the experience with the program. So Ellen and her team are really going to work on shoring up, like, what are the major components of the program that we as a building need to focus on with our students? How do we infuse writing across all of our content areas, and really help to build those foundational skills so that students can be successful across the board? So that is happening. That work is, it's a 2-hour block, so it's not a ton of time, but they're gonna really start to dig into that, and then that work will continue over the summer. Anything else you wanna mention about that, Ellen?
No, you did add the other data where it showed just the ones, right?
Yeah, so the next slide is going to show you just those students who are performing at a level 1. So you can see the significant decrease when you look at that. But again, still important, where we continue to look at those students who are at a level 2 and figuring out how we can push them up to be a level 3, to show that proficiency, and certainly looking at the services and supports that our students performing at a level 1 require.
So, am I reading this correctly, that ES writing 1/5 of our 2nd grade students are level 1s?
Yes.
Yes.
So that is definitely, writing is a identified area that we are focusing on. So our ELA team last year, when they did the program review, that's also something that they identified. And through the recommendations, they are starting to implement like that vertical alignment of how do we help build those writing skills. And it's not just part of the ELA block, like you should be doing writing in math, in science, in social studies. So really having those conversations, but also doing the work to make sure that it's built in. The next slide will show you the iReady reading diagnostic results. So the faded part is, or the faded triangle is from September when the students took the diagnostic, and then we have the most recent. So you can see a nice increase. We continue to want to see that grow, but it's always nice when you can see that triangle move over the course of the year. And then this slide gives you the breakdown of grade level. So again, like it's just amazing to me that third grade is such a transitional year for our kids. And the level of rigor, I think, jumps. And just to see the results that they had specifically is outstanding.
That's a big increase.
Yeah. And then I will show you math. So math, same thing. You see our green get a little bigger, which is what we want to see, and the red get a little smaller. So we'll continue to kind of do the same thing with our math program. We started that work last year. And, you know, I think we have, when you go through a commercial program like that, you can kind of start to see like, is the pacing appropriate? How much time are we able to spend on certain skills with kids? So last year, our teachers took a lot of time looking at that program more closely, and through the standards work that we've done this year, they've unpacked them and they've started looking at, okay, when I look at this unit, what standards do I really need to address and spend the most time on? What can I weed out so that I can save myself time and give the kids more time to experience the content that they need? So I think that, again, we're starting to see the fruit of that labor, but we need to continue that work as well. So our elementary teachers are busy. And then the last slide will show you the grade level breakdown. So overall, some, I would say, really nice growth, but we need to continue the work.
I hope you don't think that the questioning on some of those standout numbers is not at all meant to discount the actual growth that we're seeing, which is, you know, I know we've complained for a couple years, like COVID. It feels like we have crossed that bridge and we are really back to what it felt like pre-COVID, and the growth is awesome to see, like it's what we want to see, and so it's awesome to see that. I just hope you don't think that I'm.
No, not at all.
We had pointed out those same things, so.
Well, I'm sure you have, that's your job.
It's absolutely fine.
I just wanted to highlight that that's not the only thing that I see.
Okay.
But yes. Awesome, thank you very much. Alright, capital project update.
Moving along, as you look at this, let me know if you have any questions, but really, knock on wood, we're just plugging along, there haven't been any major holdups, lots going on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anybody have any questions? Nope. Alright, so we have a consent agenda. I need a motion to approve consent agenda items 5B through 5F as recommended by the superintendent. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, passes 4-1-0.
Francis abstained?
Francis abstained, perfect, thank you. Alright, I need a motion to approve the retirement resignation as presented for Lee Prescott.
Second.
Any discussion?
Aw.
Highlight 30 years of service.
Yeah, 30 years and just, again, just a wonderful member of staff, a great colleague, such great connections with kids. Anything you wanna add?
No, she will be missed. She does a lot for the building. She certainly is a kid magnet, and a good resource for her colleagues.
so we will definitely miss her at the high school.
A lot.
She is watching today.
She is watching.
She watches every Wednesday night, I said, are you gonna keep doing whatever you do?
Did she get popcorn? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the retirement resignation as presented for Tracy Schoonman.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Right.
You know,
Plus two
just,
Schoonerman's year in a row.
But they're
We
coming
got one
back, they're not
Maybe got one
really-
back.
They're hovering
Gone
still.
for a while.
Yeah.
but again, just, you know, one of those people that you wish would just teach forever because they never stop being wonderful and positive and
Also never
energetic.
ages.
Never ages, so I don't know.
She does that.
She is.
All
in favor?
This is kind of like her second half of her career, because she taught in Newark for many, many years,
Yeah.
and then had a family, and then, so we're very fortunate that she finished her career with us.
Sure. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. And I need a motion to approve retirement resignation as presented for Peggy Donahue, AKA Mrs. Belt in third grade.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion here?
Again, just like, what can you say, 34 years in district, a go-to person, always willing to do whatever it takes, very positive, energetic. I just like,
Yeah.
we're losing wonderful people.
Yeah, so that might be the.
She's a Red Sox fan.
She's a Red Sox fan,
is.
we've discussed Fenway Park in the
Oh,
cafeteria.
boy.
I don't know if there's a correlation.
Didn't we give him a dinner every time he brought that up?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, there might be a correlation there.
Anyways, super excited, we've been losing another gigantic chunk of service years here.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. These are always very hard for us.
Yeah, wishing them all
Wishing them all
happy
the best.
next adventures, they put in their time,
for
right,
sure.
and done well.
All right, new business. I need a motion to approve the budget transfers for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
It's private, services costs for our students that go to private schools in other districts.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the resolution to add bus purchase proposition to the notice of the annual meeting and election.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Our current one is built, so just creating a new one, and I know it's higher than, oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Not on that one yet.
Sorry, I'm on the next one.
Not there yet.
No, this is actually higher than, bus costs keep hiking up and up and up and up, so this is the highest, but, no, it's not it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the resolution to add the 2024 Transportation Vehicle Reserve Fund proposition to the notice of annual meeting and election.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
This is, talking about, yeah, 5 million's highest we've done here, but with the upcoming potential price of buses being $400,000, that would get us 3.5 years before we have to sell, roughly where we want it to be.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the notice of the annual meeting and election.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, budget transfers for your information.
Just it's one small, one bigger, one for the new requirements for science regions materials.
Thank you. Moving on to our meetings. Upcoming district committee meetings, there's a wellness committee meeting March 13th at 7 a.m. Upcoming district events, we have UPKK Information Night, March 7th. End of the 25-week marking period is March 8th. Music in Our Schools Month Pops Concert, March 12th. WCMEA Instrumental All County, March 15th and 16th. Intern reports will be available March 15th. Superintendent's Conference Day, no school on March 15th. And UPK and K registrations are also due on March 15th. All County for grades 7 and 12, March 15th and 16th at North Rose. And we have a budget work session on March 20th at 5:30 here in this room. Alright, moving on to closing items, Board of Ed highlights. Anybody have any highlight?
I think the musical was amazing. The kids put so much time and effort into it, from the behind the scenes to the ones on stage. It was a really great production. And I also thought we gave out coffee, and just talking with some of the high school teachers and staff was great, except for Jeff.
The incident.
The incident.
Oh,
That was
wrong
really
job.
bad.
No, you, hey.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, that's one of the things I think we really enjoy doing, is being able to get to spend some time with our staff.
Wonderful.
I'm looking forward to being at the other schools and the bus tours tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, we are at the elementary school library at 8 a.m., right? And then 9 a.m. at the bus garage. We're there till 8:40 and then we transfer all of our goods. It's a lot of goods.
Oh, I know.
You go to the transport with the goods. And then at the middle school at 2 o'clock again, right? 2 to 3?
2:30 or
2:30. 2:30.
Here again, in this room, right?
Yes.
Up again?
We have spent a lot of time in this room.
Good thing it's good.
Yes. Alright, any public comment? Okay, they're ready to get out of here. Any anticipated executive session? I don't believe so, we covered that. Then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.